Welcome to Audiobook Bay, where we unlock the biggest ideas from the world's most influential books. Today, we're diving deep into Drive by Daniel Pink, the definitive guide to what actually motivates human beings in work, relationships, and life itself. Backed by rigorous scientific research spanning decades across multiple countries and cultures. For more than a century, organizations have operated under a dangerously flawed assumption about human motivation. They've believed that money is the primary driver of effort and performance, that dangling rewards in front of people will make them work harder and smarter. But this carrot-and-stick approach, inherited from industrial assembly line thinking, fundamentally misunderstands how human motivation actually works, especially in the modern knowledge economy. Daniel Pink spent years reviewing thousands of research studies from neuroscience, psychology, and behavioral economics to challenge this outdated model. What he discovered is genuinely revolutionary. While money matters enormously for meeting basic survival needs, once those needs are satisfied, more money does not create more motivation. In fact, the relationship becomes more complicated and often counterproductive. The book lays out 3 elements that truly drive performance, engagement, and fulfillment in complex work. Takeaway 1. The first revelation is that extrinsic rewards can actually damage intrinsic motivation in surprising ways. When organizations rely heavily on carrots and sticks, they're essentially bribing people to do work that should matter to them. Research shows that paying someone to solve creative problems or engage in work they find intrinsically rewarding actually makes them less creative and less capable. Imagine a child who loves painting. She paints constantly because she loves the feeling of creating something. Then an adult says you'll pay her $5 for every painting she completes. Suddenly, her brain rewires itself around the reward, not the joy, and her work becomes more mechanical and less inspired. The incentive created tunnel vision. This same principle applies to adults in professional settings. Today, notice one task you do primarily for money rather than meaning. Tomorrow, try to identify something about that task that could matter beyond the paycheck. This mental shift starts rewiring your motivation toward intrinsic drivers. Takeaway 2. The first pillar of genuine motivation is autonomy. Humans have a fundamental psychological need to direct their own lives and to feel they have choice in how they spend their time and energy. When people gain freedom over how they work, when they work, where they work, and what methods they use, engagement and satisfaction increase dramatically. Google famously discovered this through 20% time, where employees could spend 1 day per week on passion projects with no direct business mandate. This policy generated Gmail, Google News, and countless innovations. The autonomy tapped into something deeper than any performance bonus could reach. It activated genuine motivation and creative energy. Starting this week, identify one domain in your current work where you could experiment with more autonomy. Talk to your manager about choosing your own approach on a specific project or task. Document how your energy and creativity respond to even small increases in choice and control. Takeaway 3. But autonomy doesn't mean complete freedom or the absence of clear direction and goals. This is a critical nuance that many organizations get wrong. Leaders need to provide clear parameters, meaningful targets, and compelling purposes while allowing people to decide their own path and methods. This creates what Pink calls autonomy with alignment. Think of a captain setting the destination on a ship, but letting the navigator choose the route considering current conditions and opportunities. The crew knows exactly where they're heading and why, but they have genuine say in how the ship gets there. This balance between clear direction and genuine freedom creates conditions where people become intrinsically motivated performers. This week, as a leader or team member, practice offering choices about method while keeping goals clear. Say something like, "I need this completed by Friday and want to improve quality. How would you approach this to achieve that?" Then listen genuinely to their ideas. Takeaway 4. The second pillar is mastery. Humans have an innate drive to get better at things that matter to them. We want to improve, develop capabilities, see measurable progress over time. When work offers genuine opportunities for growth, learning, and incremental improvement, people become intrinsically motivated to keep showing up and pushing forward. Think about why people spend hours at hobbies like playing guitar, writing, cooking, or sports. Nobody pays them. They do it purely for the satisfaction of getting better. The improvement itself is the reward. In workplaces, mastery looks like taking on slightly harder projects, gaining new skills, receiving quality feedback, and having time to deliberately practice what you're learning. Identify one skill you want to develop at work over the next 3 months. Create a simple practice schedule where you dedicate time to deliberately improving that skill. Then find someone who can give you honest feedback on your progress. Mastery requires both practice and perspective. Takeaway 5. Here's the critical misunderstanding many people have about mastery. It's not about reaching perfection or achieving some final destination where improvement stops and you can relax. Mastery is genuinely about the journey of continuous improvement itself. It's about always having something to work on, always being slightly stretched beyond your current ability. Psychologists call this flow state, that zone where challenge matches your skills almost perfectly. You're stretched but not broken. You're challenged but not overwhelmed. This sweet spot is where human beings do their best work and feel most alive. People who experience mastery in their work report significantly higher engagement and life satisfaction. This week, assess your current work for the balance between challenge and current skill. If things feel too easy, volunteer for a harder project. If you're drowning, ask for support or break work into smaller steps. Seek that sweet spot where you're slightly uncomfortable. Takeaway 6. The third pillar is purpose. This is the recognition that our work serves something larger than earning a paycheck to pay our bills and survive. When we understand how our contribution impacts others and serves something meaningful, we're willing to invest more effort, focus, and creativity. We go the extra mile even when nobody's watching because the work itself matters. Purpose transforms work from a transaction into a vocation. A janitor at a hospital might see their role as cleaning floors, which is unrewarding. But the same janitor who understands that spotless floors prevent hospital infections and save patient lives sees their work as mission-critical. That shift in perspective comes from understanding purpose and impact. Purpose gives all the other elements their power. Write down one way your current role makes a concrete difference to actual people. Be specific. Think beyond your company's mission statement. How does your work improve someone's life? Share this perspective with one colleague this week. Takeaway 7. Purpose works most powerfully when it connects to impact on human beings, not primarily to profit for shareholders or growth for the company. People are moved when they see how their work helps customers, patients, colleagues, or communities. This sense of genuine contribution beyond yourself is deeply human and incredibly motivating at a fundamental level. Research from behavioral economics shows people will work harder and smarter when they see clear impact on others. A software developer who sees a teacher use their app successfully in a classroom is more motivated than a developer who only sees quarterly profit numbers. The human connection to impact matters more than financial incentives. Find one concrete story about how your work helped a real person or community. If you can't find one, ask colleagues or check with your manager. Then keep this story visible. Revisit it when motivation dips. Let it remind you why the work matters. Takeaway 8. Pink spends considerable time detailing the dark side of extrinsic rewards in modern workplaces. When you pay people to be creative, they become less creative. When you offer bonuses for complex problem solving, people develop tunnel vision and miss the bigger picture. They become overly cautious and risk-averse because the reward narrows their focus. Carrots and sticks work brilliantly for routine, mechanical, algorithmic work. If you need someone to follow specific steps consistently, financial incentives help. But anything requiring innovation, creativity, or sophisticated thinking gets harmed by heavy-handed external motivation. Many organizations discovered this the hard way, implementing incentive systems that actually decreased quality and innovation. Audit your own compensation and incentive systems. Are you rewarded primarily for outcomes or processes? Are you incentivized in ways that might narrow your thinking? Look for opportunities to shift toward autonomy, mastery, and purpose over pure financial incentive. Takeaway 9. The implications of this research are massive for how we design organizations and manage people going forward. If we genuinely want innovation, engagement, and sustainable performance from our teams, we need to stop treating people like animals responding to treats. Instead, we need to cultivate environments where autonomy, mastery, and purpose can flourish and drive people forward naturally. This requires fundamentally reimagining how we pay people, structure their work, and set expectations. It means moving away from surveillance and control toward trust and responsibility. Most organizations are still operating on decades-old principles that undermine the very motivation they're trying to create. The shift starts with belief. Identify one management practice in your organization or team that operates on the carrot and stick model. Brainstorm with colleagues about how you could shift toward autonomy, mastery, or purpose instead. What would need to change? Takeaway 10. Ultimately, Daniel Pink is showing us that the most motivated and fulfilled version of ourselves emerges when we're driven by intrinsic desire rather than external control and manipulation. This insight applies to your career, your relationships, how you parent your children, and how you design your entire life. When you and others around you respect the fundamental human need for autonomy, mastery, and purpose, everything changes. This is about understanding what humans are really made of at our core. We're not just responding to incentives. We're meaning-making creatures who want autonomy, want to improve, and want to matter. That's profound. Understanding that about yourself and others is transformative. This week, have one conversation with someone you lead or influence. Ask them about their autonomy, what they want to master, and how their work connects to purpose. Really listen. Let them feel that you care about these dimensions of their life. Thank you for joining us on Audiobook Bay. If Drive resonates with you, grab a copy and discover how to unlock your true potential both in work and in life. Understanding your real motivation is life-changing. See you next time.